Hey everybody, this is Griffin McElroy for Polygon.com here with a few quick tips on early progression in the Division. Now, assuming that you haven't hit the level 30 cap in the Division yet, which I'm assuming most of you have not, these tips are going to help you level up faster, and I want to focus on leveling because really in this early part of the Division, it's kind of the only thing that matters. You could go out and do some crafting, and you could, do some farming for enough credits to buy new weapons and gear, but if you level up fast enough, you're going to out-level all of your gear pretty quickly. The gap between a level 16 gun and a level 17 gun is pretty huge. So investing a lot of resources into your equipment is not the wisest thing to do at this point in the Division. What you really want to do is focus on leveling up. Obviously, the fastest way to do this is to follow the 3 main story mission paths in the Division. It gives you way more experience than anything else in the game, and is also probably the most fun PvE content in the Division right now. After unlocking your base of operations, you can start accessing these missions. They are level rated for about every 2 levels or so, although taking on a mission on normal difficulty, if you're a level or 2 underneath, is still totally doable with a good group. Once you access the story missions, I would definitely recommend prioritizing the security wing quest line, because finishing that mission leads you to upgrading a wing of your base of operations that unlocks a perk and gives you a permanent 10% bonus to all your experience gains. Most main story missions will probably give you about enough experience points to gain a level, especially when combined with the experience you'll get from killing all the enemies in said mission, and the small bonuses you get for things like headshots and survival bonuses and revives. At this point in the game, you should have access to a hard difficulty for most of those missions, but the experience bonus you get for doing it on hard really isn't worth the extra time that it takes and the extra frustration that it takes to clear those missions on higher difficulties. But there will be times when you're just too low level to hold your own in the next story mission, which again are separated by about 2 levels each. In order to quickly level up when the next story mission is a bit too difficult for you to take on right now, you need to do side missions. Now, side missions are a specific thing. I'm not just talking about anything that appears on the Division's map. They're marked with these light blue icons, and they're clearly labeled side missions. You want to do those instead of things like encounters and the other random activities you can do. Encounters can give you resources to upgrade your wings and unlock new skills at your base of operations, but you'll get plenty of those resources just from doing story missions. In terms of raw experience, encounters give you about a quarter of what most side missions give you, and many of them take just as long to complete as those side missions. The random activities don't really give a significant amount of experience at all. Things like tracking down lost agents, for example, can take a while, and the rewards are pretty paltry in terms of experience. You get like a few hundred experience points as a reward for those. Those activities can mix things up, and if you're getting burnt out and need some variety in what you're doing while playing the Division, then by all means go for it. But in terms of leveling up, which should be your priority early on, they're not especially efficient. You'll want to hunt down and unlock all of the safe houses you have available to you in order to find those side missions by talking to the officers inside. Side missions are usually clustered pretty closely together, and by running through a few of them, you'll usually earn enough experience points for another level, in addition to getting some pretty good gear drops and credits and crafting blueprints. Speaking of credits and crafting, it's a good idea to hold on to your cash and crafting materials unless you desperately need to fill a hole in your current loadout. Again, by chaining together story missions and subquests, you'll be out-leveling your gear really quickly. And considering that crafting materials can be traded in 5-to-1 for higher level materials, you'll probably want to hold on to as many of them as you possibly can so that you can have a bit of an easier time whenever you hit the Division's level 30 cap. And on a related note, it makes sense to dismantle, not sell, all of the gear that you get from mission rewards that you are not using, because again, you can use those crafting resources to upgrade to new crafting resources at the end game. Now, keep in mind, this is just for the early part of the Division. Following this guide, it doesn't actually take all that long to get new levels. And I'm assuming, just like Destiny or any other online RPG shooter, most of your time in the Division is going to be spent at the level cap farming for high-end gear. And once we reach that point, we'll probably be back with more guides on how all those currencies and stuff work. But until then, have fun doing some dividing out there.